Hello everyone, it's Cassie and welcome back for another Trinity Stamps video. Today we're going to be making a mini slimline card and envelope, so let's talk about the products we're going to be using. We're going to be using this Dir-TEA bunny along with the matching dies. We're going to be using the A Latte Love stamp set for some of those sentiments. We're also going to be using the Graham Cracker alphabet. I love this alphabet. It's brand new, but it is fantastic for little words that you might want to add to your cards. We're also going to be using the Embossed Edge Circle Stack die. Love that one as well. That's another brand new one. And then we're going to be using this 9x4 All Heart Paper Collection, another brand new one. And then we're also going to be using the Mini Slimline Card and Envelope die. I'm going to bring in one more product later on, and we'll talk about that as that comes up. I've got the Dir-TEA bunny inside of my Misty, and I'm going to ink that up with some Blackout ink by Ink on 3. And I'm stamping that down onto some Nina Cream cardstock. And then I'm going to stamp a few more elements. So I did want to have the little broom on the inside of the cup, and we'll talk about that more later. So we'll start with our lightest color. I usually like to color lightest to darkest. Obviously we're doing some alcohol marker coloring, and I've started with my Y30. For the main part of the bunny, we're going to do some Y32. So he's a little bit yellow. And one of the things I like to do with this bunny is a stippling effect. And so we're going to do that here in a second with our mid-tone and our darkest shade. And all that is basically coming in and doing just dots. So what I'm going to do with my marker is I'm going to hold it perpendicular to the paper, you'll see here in a second, and then I'm just going to dot that down on the paper. And you'll get different size dots depending upon how much you push down or how long you hold your marker to the paper. And I want varying sizes, and I'm just trying to stick to where I think that the shadowing might be. That's basically where I'm going with this. And sometimes it sort of looks like a hot mess when you get started, but you kind of got to keep going. So then I'm going to bring in my darker color, which is my E99. And here's where it really almost looks like, ooh, what have you done? But again, keep going. So I'll just put that down where I would typically put my darkest color for some shadowing, and then I'll come back in with the E33, which was my midtone, and stipple over the top of that again. That'll sort of blend out a little bit of that E99. And then I'm even going to come in with my lightest, which was the Y32, and then I'll stipple over the top of that, adding some dots past that, so that will kind of sit on top of my first layer of the Y32. I'll bring in some RV04 for his nose and his ears, and then we're going to color the coffee mug with some B37, and then my darker shade will be some B39. I just think it's darling that he can be holding all these different little cups. There are lots of options with this Dir-TEA bunny for the different things you could put on the coffee mug, but we decided to go with a broom because this is going to be a birthday card, and we're going to cross that out. So I'm using some RV09. I'm just putting some of that on the cardstock because I'm going to cut that out with the little, like, that's not happening sign. I do want to show you that the Dirty Bunny, his die actually cuts around his hands, which is perfect because then he can hold the mug. And so now, just using some reverse tweezers, I'm going to take some of my liquid glue and put that behind my little cross. See, I don't exactly remember what that's called. But we're going to put that all over that back and then stick that over the top of the broom. And look at that. How cute is that? So no sweeping in here. Which if you came into my house recently, you'd be like, yeah, she clearly believes in that. All right, now we're going to put the mug inside the little bunny's hands, which is where it's just perfect that that die cuts around his hands so that he can hold that perfectly. And as I said, this is a mini slimline. So what that means is we're going to cut our cardstock to 6 by 6 and score it at 3 inches. So when it's closed, it'll be 3 inches by 6 inches. And so there's our card base. And here's where I'm going to bring in those embossed edge circles. I cut out 3 different sizes out of the pattern paper, and look at the edge. It's that beautiful finished, just like adds a little something something, and I just love it. So it's not just a plain circle. Next, I'll grab out that Latte Love stamp set and stamp out 3 sentiments. I'm going to stamp out sending, birthday, and wishes. Now in this set, there's a lot of great sentiments for anything coffee related. I wanted frappe, kind of like for birthday. and I didn't have it in there. So this is where I'm going to grab out the graham cracker alphabet, and I am going to make my own. I love that you can do that. I feel like this die set is almost like a staple to have in your card making, because this way, if you don't have a sentiment, you can make just about anything you want, and it's still small. You'll notice I kept all of those dies together. That just keeps it so that I don't have that potential of losing any one of those. And because it's small enough, I'm not worried that I'm wasting a ton of paper. So just running this through my die cutting machine a couple of times, I can get all the letters that I need, and I didn't use a lot of paper. Here's where I decide that I want to add a little extra something to that card base. So I'm going to pull out the 6x9 Slimline Stripes stencil. This is another staple, I feel. And I did use some pixie spray on the back of that so that way I could make sure it stays put, because that's a fairly delicate stencil. And now I'm going to use the Ink on 3 Fadeout ink, which is typically a color that you would use if you wanted to do some no-line coloring, but I thought that it would be a very subtle, great color to blend onto that background. So that's what I'm doing, just blending, not all over. I don't need it to be all over. I just wanted there to be a little bit more going on that background. And then I will take my embossed circles, and I'm going to glue those down. This paper pack has all the colors you could just about need, and typically you might look at it and think just Valentine's, but nope. I mean, hearts are good for whenever, right? So I love that this paper pad is nothing but hearts, and they are front and back. So I did have those coming off the edge of the paper, so I'm going to trim off all of that excess here. I love doing this with elements when it comes to card making, because it gives the illusion that there's more going on outside of the card. And then now I'll kind of line up my sentiments and where I want them using my glass mat and such, and then I'll glue those down using some more of that liquid glue. So down at the bottom we've got birthday wishes. I'm leaving just enough room so that I could put frappe above that. At the very top we'll put sending. So I'm kind of lining up my bunny to see where he is, because I don't want to overlap those words too much, or have, when I put the bunny down, have him cover the words too much. And then once again we'll flip that over and trim off all of the excess. And now we'll be ready to put down frappe. So what I'm doing here is actually it's not necessary. I kept the outline because I thought this might be easier to line it up, but these letters, while they might be very thin, are not flimsy, because I did use regular cardstock, so this really isn't necessary. It could help with trying to keep things straight, but like I said, after a couple of goes, I realized this just isn't something that is, necessary. So I'll just keep going, spelling out my word. And I did even have the comma cut out, but it is small, so I did lose it. Also because it's dark. So I cut this out of some navy cardstock. Originally I was thinking black, but I love the navy with that like a moss green and that pink. I just think that's a pretty combo. So now we've got the word frappe, and then I'll grab emphasis marker for the E, but in this case I lost it, so I'm just using the inside of the A as my emphasis marker. So I'll grab my crystal katana and I'll just put that little piece there. And it's interesting because some places use it, or some on frappe, and others do not. So I went ahead and used the emphasis marker. All right, for the inside, I took a scrap of my pattern paper, put that down on the lower right hand corner, and then I inked up the bunny with some more of that fade out ink and stamped that on the left hand side. And then I put some foam tape behind my bunny, and then I'm going to stick him down in between. And then I'm also going to grab out some Twilight Sky confetti mix and put that down with my crystal katana along with some liquid glue. And then when we're done with that, we're going to pull in the pieces to make a mini slimline envelope. So that comes from the mini slimline card and envelope die. I just needed the one big piece and two of the side flaps. And when it cuts it out, it also puts down some score lines. So I'm just emphasizing those score lines with my bone folder. That's the ergonomic bone folder. And then now I'm going to use a very strong adhesive. I recommend liquid glue of some sort, because when I just use like tape runner and things, that will always fall apart for me. So I find that liquid glue is the best thing for putting together an envelope, because the last thing you want is for your envelope to fall apart in the mail. So I'm just gluing those pieces down. Then I'll glue the center together. And then I'm also going to glue the bottom flap down. Obviously, I'm not going to glue the top flap just yet. I love how easy the envelope die is for making these mini slimline envelopes. It's awesome because you can use any kind of pattern paper or whatnot that you might want. All right, so here is our card. I love how that turned out, and here it is inside of our little envelope. It's still trying to dry just a little bit, so I'm trying to be careful, but it fits in there perfectly. I'm just so happy with how that turned out. So if you liked this video, I would love it if you hit the like button and consider subscribing if you have not already done so. Huge thanks for all the love and support that you guys leave me, whether it be liking or subscribing or even using my affiliate links. I appreciate everything you guys do, and I will see you very soon in another video. Bye, everybody.